Welcome back to the channel, folks. My name's Shane. This is 5 quick questions. This is where I take questions off my Instagram feed or off my YouTube feed and I answer them in this video mailbag format. If you'd like to ask me a question for the next one, I'll tell you what, comment on this particular video. I'll take 5 questions for the next one. So let's get into it. The first question's from Robert J. Media. He asks, what's your favorite budget pickup for a Telecaster type guitar? So there's a couple that come to mind, actually 3. The Tone Rider pickups are great and they're very similar, if not the same as the pickups they put in a Squier Classic Vibe. And the third one that comes to mind is the Harley Benton Roswell pickups. Now, when a lot of people buy these guitars, these inexpensive ones, they tend to want to change the pickups out like I did. And then you realize, man, the pickups that were in there are actually really good. I did that with my Classic Vibe and I realized, man, the stock pickups are so good, they're going back in. Now, a lot of people will make the same mistake and they'll list them, they put them on eBay and you can pick them up for next to nothing. So if you can find a set of Tone Riders, Harley Benton Roswell pickups, or Squier Classic Vibe pickups for a Tele, you're in business. They would be my 3 that I'd recommend and that I've used live and all that kind of stuff as well. I've had no problems with in any of my guitars. So you'll definitely find a set of those cheap if you look on eBay or maybe even on Reverb. Check that out as well. The next question's from That Rockin' Chick. She says, which guitar have you lost/sold or traded that you regret giving up? Now, there's a couple that come to mind. So the first one would have to probably be one that I didn't even really give a chance to in the end because I had a 52 Tele and I seemed to like that a whole lot more for whatever reason, just in terms of the way it felt. But it would be my G&L ASAC Classic, my old blue one. You might remember that from the channel from a while back. I picked that up at a secondhand guitar shop in Florida called the Guitar Attic. It's actually in Daytona. And it was a beautiful guitar. I got to play it in San Francisco. I got to play it in Florida. I think I also played it in other places while I was over there as well. And it was awesome. But I got back and I realized, like, I kept going to my 52 Tele and I just thought, why do I need 2 Telecasters? And I made the huge mistake of trying to sell a guitar that's not that well known in Australia. And I blew my money. I think I paid under $1,000 for it in the US. Got back, sold it for $600. So I halved my money basically when you do the exchange rate back then anyway. So yeah, that was a horrible, horrible mistake. I probably should have held on to it and sort of persisted a little bit with it. That was back when I was playing the 2-Rock amp as well. So I was going through a bit of a transition with amps and guitars and all that kind of stuff. And I ended up sort of selling the thing that I probably was using the least. So another guitar I really wish I had kept that I sold to cover costs back in the day was a Gibson VOS Custom Shop 56 Les Paul. That thing was absolutely beautiful. It was a gold top, had P90s. I was doing a lot of gigs where P90s were just completely useless. I'd plug in and it would buzz. I'd click an overdrive, it would buzz even more. I'd click a clean boost and it was awful. And then you would use it at home at my old place and I'd plug it in and it would buzz so much in my old room. Now, where I'm living right now, I don't have that problem as badly. It's so much better in this room or this house than my old place. So I kind of wish I had kept it. I probably would have found more use for it. It was a beautiful guitar and yeah, in a way, I wish I had kept that, but it was unusable at the time. So I'm sort of on the fence whether or not I should have kept it or not. But let me know in the comments if you've made a big guitar regret like I have. Anyway, yeah, let me know. Here's an interesting question from Aiden_Chang. He says, what genre would you play if not blues, and what non-blues guitarist do you look up to? So in terms of non-blues guitar players, I like plenty of players. One of the ones that comes to mind and is a guitar hero of mine is Mark Knopfler. I know he can play blues, but I just think his style is phenomenal. He'd have to be one of my favorites. Another one that isn't on the wall, which I was thinking about getting done, is the Edge from U2. How great is the Edge? Everything that guy plays, he can just make it sound great. Even if people call him simple, he's one of the most iconic guitarists. He's got so many great tones, so many great layers of guitar parts in his albums and music and all that kind of stuff that he does with U2. Now, I got to also mention, I've been binge listening to the old U2 album called Pop. And a lot of people said when that came out, oh, that's so techno and, you know, what's U2 doing? They tricked everybody. A lot of those effects are guitars. If you really listen to that album, there's so many levels of guitars and distorted parts and just modulation parts and everything going on in the background. I'm sure 99% of that is done with guitars. Edge is an absolute gun. He would be really high up on my list. I also love a lot of heavy music as well. I don't, like I said it a million times, I love the old White Zombie stuff, and I even like Rob Zombie's newer stuff as well. Kind of a mix of that horror movie thing as well. You know, That's actually a poster from a movie, but I like the old horror movies, anything up to about the 90s, you know, anything from the old school horrors up to there. So I kind of really like the Rob Zombie music as well. I think if I wasn't just to play blues at all, I would be playing funk nonstop. I think funk is great. I would have to seriously work on my rhythm chops to get that back up. But yeah, I think in terms of other styles that I would play, I think funk would be, you know, an easy substitute for me if I couldn't play blues for whatever reason. I love that stuff. James Brown, all that kind of stuff is killer. I also really love country chops as well. Guys like Brad Paisley and just some commercial stuff as well in the country genre, like Eric Church. I've mentioned him before. But Brad Paisley is just an absolute guitar hero in a completely different style. I love his stuff. Let me know what kind of players you listen to in the comments as well, and recommend some. So yeah, thanks. This next question's fantastic. It's from Skirkrow. He says, if you could have any guitar in the world, new, used, or famous, what would it be? So, you know, I think about all my favorite guitar players out there. You know, Albert King, who's up over here. Eric Clapton, would you take his Blackie? You know, would you take even T-Bone's old Gibson, B.B. King's Lucille? You know, Albert King's guitar would be high on my list, no doubt about it. And being that I'm left-handed, I'm going to leave maybe the assumption that I'm left-handed out of this as well. Well, not the assumption, I am left-handed, but I'm going to leave that out of the equation here. So if I just had to pick anyone's guitar and if, say, I could play it natural-handed, it might be Eric Clapton's Blackie. That would definitely be up on my list, no doubt about it. Man, so many great players out there. Another one that would have to make the list is Mark Knopfler's Les Paul. You know, a lot of people would go for the Strat, and I get it. It sounds beautiful, but I always loved his Les Paul tone. And, you know, Money for Nothing, that riff, that tone, all of that kind of stuff is just fantastic. Not that I could make it sound like that, but that would have to be another guitar that would be on my list as ones to pick. This is a really tough question just to pick one, but if I had to just pick one, I might be going for Albert King's Flying V. I know he's had a few of them over the years, but yeah, I would probably pick one of his and not resell it, right? This isn't to assume you're going to resell the guitar and make a whole lot of money, because there's a lot more expensive guitars out there than that. But for me personally, Albert King, one of my biggest heroes for blues, I'd probably pick his. This next question is from a username called Ben, I think. He says, what amp do you like for headphone practice? I don't want to wake the baby. So good question. I think for me, I'd probably just stay away from amps altogether and get an all-in-one pedalboard system / processor. Now, I've had a chance to test a few of these. The most recent one, the video is not out on the YouTube channel yet. I think I'm actually uploading it right now. It's the Joyo Gembox. You can basically set up different amp combinations, speaker combinations, delays, effects, all that kind of stuff. It's got its own drum machine built in. You plug headphones in and listen. Another really cool one is the Mua GE200. I'm a huge fan of that as well. I really liked it. It's basically the same type of thing as the Joyo Gembox. The last one on this list would have to be the NUX Cerebus pedal. I think this is a really great option if you're not into the whole digital sort of pedal board thing. It does have some digital effects, but the layout of it is completely analog, and you can stack everything and all that kind of stuff as well. It sounds great not only going into an amplifier, but you can just plug your headphones in and it will give you that cab simulation sound. So it sounds like an amp in your headphones. And I think if you're not into the whole digital thing, go for the NUX Cerebus. I think that might be one of the best options out there. You can also go straight out of it into your sound card, and it's going to sound like $1 million as well. So I can highly recommend that one over probably most of them, just in terms of straight up sound quality and also functionality. That's a really great one as well. Now, to make up for the last video where I only did 4 questions because the video got kind of long in the end, I'm going to throw an extra one in this one. So this can be the 6 quick 5 questions edition or something like that. This is from Yoda Cruz, I think it's pronounced. Desert island situation, single coils or humbuckers? Humbuckers. Asked me 10 years ago, I would have said single coils. You asked me maybe, you know, even a few years ago, I probably would have said single coils, but humbuckers, no doubt about it. No buzz is great. And there's so many pickups that have a lot of top end and also have a lot of low end without that really big fat mid thing without any tops or bottoms. So yeah, in terms of like humbucker tones, there's really so much variation out there now, whether you're talking about the Joe Budd and Danny Gatton pickups, which I use in my Telecaster, some of the best tally pickups I've ever heard, irrespective of being, you know, hum canceling or humbuckers or single coils. It doesn't matter. The Joe Buddens are phenomenal. The pickups I've got in my PRS SE have more tops than some of my single coils that I've played. And that's so uncommon. You know, if you're talking about, say, my ES335, that's got more of a traditional humbucker tone where the tops might be slightly rolled out and it's got a fatter sort of mids presence, maybe a little bit less low end compared to some other pickups out there, but it's got a particular sound that sounds great as well. But overall, I would have to pick humbuckers. Now, I still like playing single coils from time to time, but as a live player as well, I sometimes find the single coil buzz irritating and distracting. That sort of tied into an earlier question about why I sold my Gibson Les Paul with P90s. One reason was I needed the funds, but the second reason was the buzz was killing me. So I would take a good humbucker over a single coil any day of the week if it was the only option I could play, at least at this point in time. That may change. Thanks again for watching, folks. My name's Shane. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section of this particular video, and I'll be taking those questions on the next mailbag. This might be the easiest way to do it. I get a lot of questions on Instagram, so if you want to follow me on there too, I'll leave a link somewhere in the description. You can follow me on Instagram as well. It's just at intheblues with an underscore at the end. Thanks again. Catch you soon. See ya. Thanks for watching, folks. My name's Shane. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. There's a couple of other videos on screen that you can check out if you so choose. Thanks again.